start the new video. Yes, I've done that. And then look at this, then look at this. Okay. Whew, we need 40 charisma or intelligence or etiquette. Actually, no, we need 40 etiquette, which we already have. Our etiquette is fine. Honestly, we're just real good right now. Let's charisma it up. And, what should I do for you? Let's get your light magic in order. Okay, I will start the lesson now. And straight away I can just let it go. Alright. Okay, we've got more Aurelius coming, I guess. It's far too beautiful a day to stay secluded inside the castle walls, so when the time comes for a lesson in military history with Harris, we wordlessly agree to head outside. We step into the sunlight that blankets the verdant garden. Soon I realize we aren't alone in our venture. People mill about and voices buzz through the well-groomed arena of hedges, small trees and cascading vines. Following the smooth stone walkway, we come upon a semi-private bench along the far side, which offers an impressive view of the distant woods. The lesson begins easily enough, but as time passes I find it a burden to keep my mind on task. And this, of course, another exaggeration by Ducatus. There is no such thing as Eskian military history. The sudden sound of hunting dogs draws my eyes to the forest. They have no doubt found their quarry. The sound alone paints a vivid picture. You see, Eskia had no unified army until recently. Thus, Ducatus's claim to the historical origin of its pike formation. How long has it been now? A week. Since that first draught of potion, Aurelius hasn't asked me for another. Though I see him at our daily lessons, we aren't given the privacy for such a conversation. Besides, I don't often have the time to inquire about his health or anything other than basic formalities. From a casual glance, it doesn't appear the poison has any lingering effects. However, since it's Prince Aurelius, I probably shouldn't take that as confirmation of anything. What if he's silently suffering? And that arrow, I wonder if he's conducting an investigation. Without breaking eye contact, Harris slowly closes Ducatus's History of the Eskian Military, Volume 1, and allows the silence to settle, waiting. My cheeks flush in embarrassment at being caught. I prepare myself for a stern reprimand, but I only sense amusement when Harris lifts his brow. Clearly, your thoughts are not on Eskian history. I find no reason to deny it, and instead I seize this moment. I only need to be cautious. After all, even the remote corners of the garden pavilion are known to have ears. I admit that I have been wondering about something. By all means, how may I assist? I wish to inquire about how the prince feels about his catch from the hunt. I trust he is not distressed? Harris gives a small, relieved chuckle. I should say his catch was better than you give it credit. And I believe him to be no worse for wear, mentally or physically. I would say that's thanks to your swift and experienced comforts in his tent, Lady Rosencruz. Your attentions were quite skilled. The tips of my ears turned warm and my cheeks flush another shade deeper at his innuendo. Harris winks, knowing his words were well timed, though I can't help but glance around for eavesdroppers. As for everything else regarding the hunt, please don't concern yourself with it. I am looking into the matter. Now that this topic is settled, may we return to the lesson? Yes, of course. You were speaking of pike formations? Harris reopens the volume to his marked place and shakes his head. Glad to see you caught that much, but I moved on to the Eskian uniform while you were daydreaming. I straighten my posture, smooth out my wrinkled clothing, and remain determined to stand at attention. Taking a deep breath, I exhale and focus on Harris's words. I don't fucking care. Ducatus argued that the current Eskian uniform, an example of which is worn by that guardsman there, as Harris gestures to the aforementioned guard, the man looks spooked at our attention and quickens his steps. It is a combination of colours from all the various fiefdoms that the late king united, which is, of course, he looks at me, an eyebrow raised expectantly. I mean, I'm saving it and I'm choosing the right answer. Oh, okay. Why would it give me plus intelligence for that? I guess because I'm learning something? Ridiculous. A ridiculous notion. The combined colours of all the Eskian houses would result in I glance around for an appropriate analogy and motion to a dark patch of mulch in the shadow of a nearby hedge. That shade of brown at best. Mixing colours makes them less vibrant, not more. Harris nods. Quite so. Imagine having a dirt-coloured uniform. Your allies wouldn't recognise one soldier from the next. Actually, that reminds me. The prince arranged for a set of hunting clothes to be crafted on your behalf should you desire to indulge in a hunt. Hunting garb? Aye, tailored specifically to your size. Alas, a shame there was no need. Prince Aurelius requested clothes tailored for me. For some reason, the thought makes me both warm in the stomach and light in the head. A blush warms my face far hotter than the sun ever could. As a matter of fact, I believe I still have them on hand somewhere. Perhaps I could give them to you next time we go hunting? I'm not sure why he insists on it, however. Well, do you recall the group of bowmen in the woods? Last week, we almost ran them over because they were so well hidden. Harris regards me with a contemplative silence, sensing my new train of thought. I can see the advantage drab clothing has in the hunt and in war. Luring men into an ambush would be easier, and it would be more difficult for your enemy to gauge your numbers, especially at a sufficient distance. Harris snorts, but not derisively. In fact, he looks a little surprised. You really... My apologies. The prince once suggested the same, and with the same arguments. Did he? It was in my strictest confidence, of course. He is quite careful not to say anything that might be seen as speaking over another or taking as an official order. I've also observed that, but it's still worth questioning. Prince Nazir's opinion on clothing could effectively start or end entire fashions, and even a gentle correction from Prince Seren could be interpreted as remonstrance. But Prince Aurelius rarely voices his opinions in such things, making his the hardest thoughts to truly understand. You know what I've just realised? That some of the CGs that I was missing from Seren probably are the male counterpart. So yeah, that's interesting. Guess all these boys are bi. But Prince Aurelius rarely voices his opinions in such things, making his the hardest thoughts to truly understand. I don't remember if I said that or not. Why is that, if I may ask? Harris sighs and leans back against the bench. The book sits in his lap, forgotten. He grew up as the child of the late king's concubine, and his mother, well... She stayed far from court. She did not wish anyone to assume she planned on becoming the next queen. I stare at Harris and barely manage to keep my jaw from dropping in surprise. I'd heard not a word of this, not even from the High Council, but it did shed light on earlier events, such as the nobility calling the prince names out in the open. And just perhaps the song I heard in this very garden just a few weeks ago was played by the prince's mother. That's what I was thinking, yeah. He learned discretion from her. Of course, when he does want something badly enough, he always gets it. We sit in reflective silence for a moment. I should have known that looking into Prince Aurelius's history would only breed more questions. It seems there are many more layers to this, but it isn't appropriate to ask about them now. After a moment, Harris decides to return to the lesson. In all truth, I can hardly pay heed to him. How can I possibly pay attention to history with so much to think about? Can I skip? Russell? I can. Alright, any more requests? No. Right, how is everything going? I mean, I think we're pretty good, all things considered. Oh, I need to sit up. I need to sit up. Alright. Okay. What should I even do? Like, I'm fine. His light magic is fine. I don't know. Let's have a look at the missions. That is a Seren one. That is a nothing one. That is also a nothing one. But this, I think, might be something, so let's just do it. Miners of Zelfos have recently found rare, unidentified crystals. Although they are beautiful, it's unknown whether or not the crystals contain toxic or dangerous alchemical attributes. Thus, before one of his routine visits to the mining town, Prince Aurelius invited me on the journey to identify them. Upon arriving, I was presented with the crystal itself, and it's truly magnificent. Although it's a common clear white color, it has a unique internal cracking that gives it depth, and under sunlight it sparkles with all the shades of the rainbow. Zelflos has its fair share of quartz mines, thus it would have been easy to dismiss the crystal as an exotic variant of such, but I had to make sure it wasn't dangerous. I joined Prince Aurelius in visiting the villagers, asking questions about the mine and the crystals, while the prince did his duties in, well, his own particular way. I learned that the crystals had been discovered near a recently excavated quartz mine. Convincing, but it wasn't enough. I asked to test a sample. I insisted that the prince join me, as this was a valuable learning experience. Surprisingly, or perhaps not, he agreed. Before the testing began, I asked for a sample of simple, clear quartz, as well for if this unknown crystal was truly a variant, they would have similar properties. Thank heavens I did too, as the alchemy supplies I had on hand were limited. Luckily, given the extra samples, I was able to determine that the mystery crystal was indeed a form of common quartz, albeit a very, very pretty one. On another note, despite outward appearances, Prince Aurelius was quite an attentive student. Natural curiosity and relentless logic make for a good combination, I suppose, though I could do without the occasional glare. After our experiments were over, he quickly informed the villagers that the crystal was completely safe, and the villagers rejoiced, rightly so, since this will be a good source of income for the town. In return for my help, a local jeweler fashioned me a handsome pendant made of the crystal in question. The nobles caught sight of it upon my return to the palace, and since then the crystal has bloomed in popularity. Sweet. Can we... I'm going to read this, but I don't know if we can skip or not. The sun shines down from a cloudless sky. A warm western wind blows pleasantly. Thanks to both, the palace gardens seem especially beautiful today. Alright, we can skip. Yeah, accept. Wait, what one is it? Oh, it's the conditioner, isn't it? And it's new. Darkness and water. Wait, when do they need that? Soonish. Okay. Right, you. Wait, what? Wait, what? I feel like I'm missing something again, but I don't know what. So 90, it needs 90 water and 60 darkness. You. Yeah, okay, you don't have enough water, that's fine. Cool. Me. I need to do... intelligence. Alright. And I will see you after the lesson. Yeah, I officially don't care. We don't really need that much anyway, so... Alright. Yes, we already know this. Alright, now we can, in fact, make the conditioner, and we have a lot of money, so it's fine. Servant's approval, 27. Commoner's approval, 25. I do need him to get up in water. I don't think I'm gonna bother with the save scumming currently. If I need it, I'll do it, but I don't need it right now. The only problem with that is I don't have recent saves because I don't save it if I'm not gonna save scum. Let's do etiquette. Well, that went very fast. With no active hunt underway, the hunting grounds are relatively quiet. The tables are put away under big tents, the horse corrals stand empty. However, there are still people present, soldiers in training. And I note as I ride in, the faint sound of a hammer hitting on metal rings through the air. Let me have a look at the guide. We need... the wrong thing. We need possibly some combat skill here? I'm not sure. I cannot tell if that's Nazia's colour or Aurelius's colour. I follow the sound to a small tent where an anvil and a forge have been set up. A young apprentice is hammering on a horseshoe. This is where the Lord Marshal introduced me to bring the enchanted iron bars. He had probably meant for me to send them with the courier, but as I had time this morning, I decided to do it myself. The petals on my neck burn with a spell, but the expression full of admiration on the young man's face masks and makes it almost worth it. Smiling, I carry them from the saddlebags to him as if they were as light as a bundle of sticks. Here you go. Watch out, they're heavy. Thank you, Lady Rosencruz. The moment I hand them over, the magic dissipates and the man almost drops the now heavy iron bars despite his bulging muscles. With compliments from the Lord Marshal. As I leave, I wonder why Marshal Garion wanted the iron bars delivered so far out here. Probably not to be made into horseshoes. Oh. Sorry, let me just get the thingy back up. That is, when I see a familiar pair of figures amid the group of soldiers. Shouts and the sound of steel grinding on steel tell me they are training. Intrigued, I make my way towards them, leading my horse. Faster, the enemy is not going to give you time to hesitate. I stop a little distance away, watching as Prince Aurelius and his trusted servant Harris instruct a group of Zelflos soldiers in the art of war. Two men square off against one another while Aurelius instructs them personally. Again, do not expose your back. The soldiers follow his instructions attentively. Hold your shield up at all times, again. Every single one of the small group of soldiers, a dozen or so, looks like an elite, tall, strong, and grizzled with experience. Even their training gear is of the highest quality. But despite their ferociousness and the scars on their bodies, the prince's harsh commands make them seem like the greenest of recruits again. And you're dead. A soldier has to be fast, strong, and smart. You barely cover one of them. Get up. The soldier scrambles to his feet, mumbling apologies, which Aurelius dismisses quickly. There are no apologies on the battlefield, only actions. Now on guard. And he did leadership as well? Oh. Maybe I will go back. Give me a second. Okay, we passed the check. This time, after a glance, I realized the situation. These men have become accustomed to being on top of the hierarchy. They are used to not being challenged, and that has made them complacent. The prince is acting like a drill sergeant, reminding them that in real combat, arrogance and pride will only get you killed. After all, there is always someone more skilled out there. I smile, remembering my duels with the prince, how fast and skillful he has been, and how my defeats had inspired me to try harder. Sometimes you have to lose in order to learn, and when your life is at stake, losing is best done on the practice field, not on the battlefield. Just then, Aurelius turns around and spots me. I am about to excuse myself when he suddenly beckons me over with a slight tilt of his head. Surprised, I tie my horse to a nearby post and hurry up to him, bowing as I arrive. He acknowledges me with a terse nod. Who thinks they can defeat my tutor in a duel? I blink, a feeling of terrible déjà vu washing over me. I glance at Harris, who smirks at me while reaching for a practice sword. Luckily, none of the soldiers seem very keen on taking up the challenge, suspecting a trap. Aurelius looks at them for a moment, then nods. That's right, none of you can, especially not if she is permitted to use alchemy and magic during the fight. Your Highness? Aurelius hands me a training sword, leaving me no room for protest. The soldiers seem excited, mumbling amongst themselves. These louts think I picked them because they are big and strong, but in truth I did so because of their great affinity with magic. And you want me to teach them how to use their magic in combat? Aurelius nods. Well, thank you very much for asking whether or not I'd be interested in doing so. I don't bother to hide the note of sarcasm in my voice as I glance at the soldiers. Some seem beyond shocked at my retort against the prince. They keep mumbling amongst themselves until Harris barks out a command to make them stop, standing at attention. All eyes are on me. I sigh in defeat. There are no urgent tasks at hand in any case. Very well. Those with the affinity to fire, raise your hands. It takes a little while, but soon I have the group divided according to affinities. I set those with an affinity to fire magic to enchant weapons, strengthening their blades and improve their brute force. I show them to use water magic to freeze and encumber their opponents. Wind magic to make their swings faster, lightening their weights and oppose gravity. Aurelius observes and steps in where he can, showing a soldier with an affinity to darkness how one can use it for distraction and camouflage. I would say he's pretty fucking camouflaged, he's a whole ass shadow. Even the wood and light magic users have their own unique advantages, such as the ability to predict their enemies' movements. Training ground glitters with sparks and shouted spells as the soldiers slowly move into the advanced curriculum, using their magic together as a squad. As we finally are on our way back to the palace, everyone is in high spirits, and I even catch Aurelius smiling with satisfaction. Oh ho ho. Ho ho ho. Yeah, we don't have anything to do here. Cool. Right, what have I made you do? Nothing. You have a lot of light, so let's do your other affinity, which is wood. You're still climbing on slowly with that one. If I could remember what came next, that would be great. I know this is necessary at some point, so let's just make it. I feel like I shouldn't have, but whatever. Avian infestation, that's Nasir, which I don't care about. Maybe we should do the rare herb. because none of these are of interest, so let's just do this one. Wait, I didn't see what I needed. It shouldn't matter. I've got a lot of everything right now. Sala recently asked of me something rather unique. She wanted me to find her a rare herb called moonshade, a beautiful plant that glows silver in the darkness. It is said that when steeped in tea, it tastes of spring and starlight and rewinds the drinker's age by 7 years. I was, of course, skeptical on the last few rumours. Oh, I'm just dying now. It's very hot in my room. I thought it would be fine tonight, but I guess not. How can moonshade taste of starlight? But Sala has been good to me, so I was happy to do something for her in return. The forest in which the plant grows is steeped in magic and rife with dangerous creatures, hence why Sala could not retrieve the herb herself. I planned to find the herb during the night, reasoning that it would be easier to spot. Despite the greater risk, I was confident that this was the easier option. After making sure that the guards would recognize me upon my return, I did not want a repeat of my arrival as royal tutor, I slipped out of the palace. The moon was high and full in the sky before I ventured into the forest. It was beautiful indeed. Moonlight drenched the landscape in silver, clinging to the leaves, to the mossy tree trunks, to the ominous shadows I kept seeing in the corner of my eye. Oh, the kitten's outside of her bed again. Oh, she made a noise like... Oh, she's on the desk. The desk is like a lot cooler, obviously, than something that's like made of fabric. So I think that's why she's there, and she's so cute. She's just the cutest kitten. I shook my head. The night often brings such delusion, and even the most horrifying monster was nothing to fear if it would not reveal itself. I spotted the flower easily under the cloak of darkness. It was a regal, delicate little thing, its 5 petals glowing with lunar radiance. Satisfied, I harvested all that Sala asked me for, and prepared to leave. Oh damn, that was a lot. I was then attacked by wolves. Nothing major really compared to the new and exciting threat of assassination, but I must have been quite a sight coming out of the forest, my clothes tantalizingly tattered and splattered with blood not my own, clutching my half-mold satchel like a lifeline. Trivialities. When I eventually found my way back to the palace, I was in a sour mood indeed. Luckily, the guards were of proper breeding this time and let me in without fuss. As a silver lining, although if I was being completely honest, I had had quite enough of silver at this point, moonshade tea happened to be particularly favoured by the princes and the regent. Sala, in her effortlessly elegant manner, let slip that I was the one who retrieved the notoriously difficult herb, and I suppose my lack of permanent scarring was something to be impressed by. Ew. Oh, she's talking about... I had thought to use the cloth for tapestries, but it turned out slightly better than I anticipated. Midway to my morning lesson, I find myself caught by Lady Ceridwen, though I suppose it's more apt to say that she's trapped me. She has no handmaiden, and I have no Raphael. I tried to say as little as possible, lest I lose my temper and let 1 or 2 more insulting remarks slip, but that only allows her to speak more. Well, obviously there was no time to finish the dress, so the event was merely passable instead of extraordinary. I nod tersely, not trusting myself to answer. She seems happy with my silence. You understand, of course, why it is so important for every aspect of the post-hunt festival to be perfect. There we go. I am on my way back to my bedroom after another tiring day of research in the study when... Which is when I have to cast. No, that's our mistake the last time. I must be the one to. Are you certain, Aurelius? Lady Rosencruz told us. From inside the classroom comes the dim glow of candles and the voices of Seren and Aurelius muttering heatedly. Curious, I pause by the door and poke my head in. What did I tell you? The 2 princes are bent over a table, tinkling with what looks like one of the more advanced I've read this, but it'll probably be switched or something. They look up at my approach, Seren smiling, Aurelius stony-faced as ever. Good evening, Lady Rosencruz. We didn't mean to make a disturbance. You didn't. No one ever comes to this part of the palace at this hour except me. What are you 2 doing? Aurelius and I are trying to make a shadowlight grenade. Oh? I walked to their table, my interest definitely piqued. Crafting a shadowlight grenade may be slightly advanced for what you have learnt. How did you 2 come across it, anyhow? I read ahead for the tome you gave us on darkness magic. It describes the shadowlight grenade as an item that has high shock value. Yes, the grenade is highly prized during war. It is especially popular with besieging armies launching an assault on a well-fortified citadel. Do you have a citadel in mind? I asked the question teasingly, but Aurelius appears to take it all in seriousness. I do, of a kind. The local gendarmerie of Zelfloss tracked down a notorious bandit chieftain to his lair in one of the mountain ranges. We already know this. Okay, yep, we already know that. I'm beginning to understand. For light to be at its brightest, my light magic has to be kept distinct from Aurelius's darkness magic, so that the distinctiveness between light and dark is sharpened, not blurred. Very good. Crafted properly, the shadow light grenade not just retains the contrast between light and darkness, it heightens it. I actually don't think that was necessary to not make me be allowed to skip through. Impressive. I had taken much longer the first time I tried to make one of these. I'm happy we hadn't taken much longer. Saren smiles, but it doesn't quite reach his eyes. I can also feel the tiredness of the night tugging at me. It is getting late, and we should all be heading to bed. Good night, Lady Rosencruz. Many thanks for your help. Aurelius? Go back first. I'll walk her back to her room. Ooh. There are some questions about this grenade I want to ask her along the way. Well, good night too, Aurelius. And to you, Saren. Thank you. Aurelius finishes stashing his new Shadowlight grenade into his backpack and turns to me. Shall we go? Yes, let's. As we walk, Aurelius directs to me a stream of questions that shows he has given a lot of thought to using the grenade. Although he does not tell me his plan, by the time we near my quarters I could piece it together from the questions he has asked. I am even able to offer a piece of suggestion, which he acknowledges with a terse nod and a thoughtful frown. Thank you for helping me tonight. You are, after Saren and Harris, the most reliable person I know. Only after the both of them? My question is teasing, but Aurelius seems to take it at face value. I trust Saren with my life. His word is his bond, and never will he shirk a responsibility or let someone down. And Harris is the one who raised me. He hesitates ever so briefly, I almost miss it, as we pause outside the door. But I hope to think the same of you one day. With another terse nod, he walks away in swift, stiff strides into the dark corridor. I want him to blush already. I'm bored that he's not blushing. Oh, Nazia, no. No. Also no. Yeah, that could be interesting. We don't have anything to do. The freaking nobles love us, though. I guess I'll do intelligence. You are learning your wood. You are getting there, and you... learn some wind. Again, no more saves coming. And it has slightly... been kind to me in that regard. Alright. Aurelius told me you are aware of what really happened. We do not believe the stray arrow aimed at him to be from Councillor Gabrielle, however. However, you still haven't found the real culprit. Regrettably so. Aurelius is personally leading the investigation. Furthermore, he has been training soldiers to strengthen palace security. Ah, the soldiers I have seen the other day. Now I see. And I think of Aurelius, who, even when he was suffering from poison, kept a clear mind to protect his brother and the peace treaty at the same time. Oops. I slowly breathe out, and then we go to the next frigging thing. Any items? Anything that I need to create? This. Can I do that? I cannot do that. And I'm pretty sure I need it now, so that's a shame. Yeah. But I don't need it, so it's fine. It would just be interesting if I had it, I think. Alright, what are we at? 31. So that means we're at 32. We have more than enough of everything, pretty much. Etiquette, leadership. Okay. Let's go for leadership then. Which is kind of annoying, but whatever. Okay. Exchange some moves with me. He told me about self-defense techniques he learned back at the council. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. I mean, we laid... let's just lay traps again. Alright. Well, we just went through a whole heck of a lot. Rosencruz. Snapping to attention, I immediately let my arms fall to my sides and look at Prince Aurelius. Yes, Your Highness? Did you have a question? Light-coloured eyes watch me carefully. He blinks, but his impenetrable expression remains unchanged. You are unwell. It's a statement, not a question. In fact, it's so blunt that I can't help but feel like I've been caught doing something bad. That... Prince Seren starts peering at me in concern. Prince Nazir chimes in with a chipper voice, although not one free of worry. You're sick, Valkii. Maybe you should get it looked at. This second. No, nothing that requires immediate attention. Nazir, are you saying that out of concern for my well-being, or because you'd like the lesson to come to an end? This is just the same. He grins at me without a hint of shame. Both? The corners of Prince Seren's lips twitch upwards, but when he turns his attention back to me, his eyes are serious and piercing. Perhaps you should go see Sala, Lady Rosencruz. The lesson can wait. I cannot help but soften at their concern, and eventually heave a sigh. I have to admit, I'm somewhat relieved at the idea of being able to rest sooner rather than later. I still haven't fully recovered from all of yesterday's excitement. Very well, I'll look for Sala. No. Prince Aurelius's cold voice cuts into the air once more. Everyone looks to him. Exposing my wound, but saying no to me seeing a healer. Just what's the matter with him? If a dog is not properly trained, it will only make the same mistakes time and time again. Does he mean I'm going to keep neglecting my health if I get treatment? Surely he understands how foolish that line of reasoning is. Allow me to heal you instead. That won't be necessary, Your Highness. The hands holding the sword that beats me to pieces every single time, I imagine them using magic to heal me and can't suppress a shudder. Needless to say, I keep that to myself, but with how much time we've been spending together lately, I'm sure Prince Aurelius can tell what I'm thinking. He simply shoots me a challenging look. Do you mean to say your teachings so far are insufficient? Am I childish enough to dignify that with an answer? Yes, I am. Not at all, Your Highness. I will be in your care. Very well. I spend the remainder of the afternoon silently cursing myself for letting the prince get a rise out of me. However, I am glad he isn't as rough as he could be. In the end, I make a vow to never, ever neglect my injuries again. If something like this happens, I'll have to search for Sala right away. At least before Prince Aurelius hears about it. Okie dokie. What is our statties at? If this is Aurelius's, then he wants on week 36. I don't know if this is either or, but I think it might be both. We need etiquette, leadership, and then fulfilled the first and second noble request, which we have done this time. But that's both 70 etiquette and leadership, unless I'm wrong. We'll see. Because it doesn't say how much leadership, it just says leadership. So that's why I'm doing leadership. Ooh, Nazir, you're almost done. Good, good, good. You'll probably be done in like one. So. Alright, no saves coming. Go, go, go. Damn it, you're not done. Look at that too, that makes me sad. People say that you are becoming good friends with my nephews, especially with Aurelius. I pause, unsure, blah blah blah, we've probably skipped now. I have rarely met anyone as quick on the uptake as Aurelius. He sometimes seems to intuit the point I wish to make even before I finish a sentence. Aurelius is sharp, and that sharpness of his is a double-edged sword. That child, he was forced to grow up faster than anyone else. His mother lives in seclusion, and his father was never around after my sister's death. The Lord Regent closes his eyes as if fighting a pull of memories too painful to bear. When he opens them again, the old slow melancholic smile is back on his face, and his eyes are sadder than ever. Aside of his brothers and Harris, he never had any friends. Even he looks unaffected by it. I believe he can get lonely. So if he sees you as someone he can trust, I would truly be relieved. Yes, my lord. The Lord Regent turns around at last, and so do I. Yeah, take your shit. I'll accept it. I think I already have it, actually, because I don't even know how I got it. But yeah. Okay. I think we have enough leadership points now. Let's go back to etiquette. You have a lot of wood. And let's get fire going again. I don't know why. Let's just do it. Light water. Light, he doesn't have any water. Light, water, fire. Let's not make you do that, actually. Let's make you do I don't know. Wind, I guess. Or yes, you're not quite there with the wood, but this one will do it. Offer to help. Because I have a lot of money. You can stop that now and you can just do water. You're a bit lacking in the fire actually, but that's fine. You are getting fire up, which is good. And my etiquette is good. Man, like everything is good. I'm just like swimming in it right now. Do intelligence. Every time I visit Zelfos, I am struck by how barren it is, even for a mining town. Let me get my OBS up. As I thought, it's time to start a new video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!